Okay, this is the second follow-up to the video that I made where I said, thanks to AI, I can't trust new music anymore. And I wanted to release both of these on the same day, but I wanted to separate them because I feel like they're two kind of separate topics. So this topic is AI music is our fault. Now, I don't really necessarily mean us in particular, although maybe we are sort of to blame for this. But what I mean by this is we've been moving towards artificial, computer created music since, I don't know, the 2000s, since we started using computers to record music. Uh, and I've done videos too. I don't think the one I did a video on how computers were good for music, and I have one that I made for how computers were bad for music. I don't think that one's going to be up quite yet when this goes up, but look for that. So when we started with computers, you had, an obvious one is auto-tune. I think everybody sort of knows what auto-tune is. Cher came out with that song. The auto-tune was used to pitch fix singers who couldn't sing in tune. And then it was used to such an effect with some people that it became an effect in itself. So pitch fixing singers, quantizing rhythms. That means that when bands in the past played, they just went in, they counted it off, and they played. It had a natural, organic feel to it. So maybe in the chorus of the song, they sped up just ever so slightly. You can't really perceive it, but it's perceived as like a lift of energy. Now everything is gridded, it's straightened out so that whatever speed it starts at, it stays absolutely locked into that, to the accuracy to the one millionth of a second that a computer can do. Things are cut and pasted. Queen and Boston and those bands and that, they had to sing all that stuff, man. When you hear all those vocals, when you hear all those guitar parts, they had to play and sing and do all of that. There was no cutting and pasting. There was some stuff they could do with tape where they could cut and splice in different takes and things like, but it's nothing like today where somebody can sing the chorus once and then they just copy and paste it for the rest of the song. And so there's been this movement towards things becoming very robotic, computerized, sanitized, plasticized. Is that even a word? Turned into this, like, you press a button and it just pops out. Amp sims, drum triggers. Amp sims, for those who don't know, are like guitar amp sounds already built in. So that's why you hear, like, it seems like the last so many Accept records, the guitars sound exactly the same on them because it just sounds like they're using the exact same, amp program. Drum triggers, this is where a drummer can play, and you can have Tommy Lee's snare drum sound, and you hit your snare, which may sound like garbage, but it comes out through the computer sounding like Tommy Lee's Dr. Feelgood snare drum. And thus it's just created this sort of plastic, computerized, unhuman product. And we've been moving towards this for quite a while now. So it's no surprise that it's not really that much of a leap to AI as some we might think it is, but it really isn't. Everything's being done in a computer to begin with. So to just have AI do it, it's just sort of taking out that step of you having to put the song together, And now imagine, if you will, through some wizard casts a spell where take some modern song. In my last video, I used that Gods of Rock and Roll, that Ozzy song, as an example. If you were to take one of these really heavily edited computer-made songs and you were to just magically transport it back to, let's say, the glorious days of rock recording, the mid to late 70s, when Pink Floyd and Fleetwood Mac and Steely Dan are spending millions of dollars in the studios and these great live performances captured in the studios, the Beatles and all this other stuff, right? And you were to take one of these heavily edited computerized songs back to the 70s, it would probably get blasted out by the critics and the fans. They'd be like, what is this? It's so stiff. It's so sterile sounding. This sounds awful. This is terrible. What is this? This is absolutely horrible. But it's been sort of, what's the expression? The boiling frog. The water temperature has been raising very slowly, but it's been raising. And this has been moving towards this where we don't even kind of realize it. We don't realize anymore how plastic and how fake so much of this stuff is. I don't remember where I saw this. It might have been Rick Beato's channel, where he talked about how there was like a group of kids, teenagers, like music majors in college. I don't know, they were studying to be audio engineers or something, I think. And they were listening to the Beatles and they're like, oh God, like those harmonies are out of tune and everything. Because they're so programmed to like just everything being put 100% in its place. The vocal harmonies are all exactly to pitch. And the problem with that is that nobody is absolutely perfect. Nobody does anything exactly the same way twice. So they may sing that chorus 10 times in a song, and it may sound the same, but there's microscopic little imperfections and differences in each one that you may not even perceive it, but I really think your subconscious does. And that's why the early stuff, even though the Beatles, sometimes you do hear them and you can hear them hit a harmony and you can hear them like adjust, just like a millisecond of them adjusting to each other and tuning to each other, rather than tuning to a perfect tuned thing that you would get out of a computer. And it's almost to the point now where that sounds strange to people. When they listen to this, it sounds strange to them. I mean, seriously, like listen to, I'm sure I know everybody out there, we're all roughly the same age, the majority of people that watch this channel. So we listen to a lot of the classic stuff. This happens to me every now and then where I'm listening to maybe modern stuff. And then I go throw something like from the 70s on my turntable and I'm like, whoa, this is so refreshing to just kind of hear this. And sometimes you can't put your finger on it, but it's what it really is that live, that it's real, that it's not computer generated, that it's not fixed on a computer. And so we've gotten so used to this over time that this has become the norm. So really to take that next step into AI, it's really, we've been moving towards this now for a long time. And yeah, AI may remove the human element of the human at least creating the concept and the lyrics and stuff like that. But I said this in the other video, artists are going to start doing things where we're going to have to ask ourselves how okay we are with these things. Are we okay if Ozzy releases a song that's 50% Ozzy 1980, let's say it's 75% Ozzy 1980 AI generated and it's 25% modern Ozzy? Are we okay with somebody, I know somebody that wrote a song with AI and they wrote the lyrics, they directed the computer, the AI program to put it all together for them. But is that okay? Is it okay? Like, I'm not a good singer. Let's say I come up with a song and I sing it, but I use AI to create a voice. And I don't say, okay, sound like Ian Gillan or sound like Ronnie James Dio. I just type in I don't even know how these things work, but I'm assuming it's like this, where you can type in prompts like, I want a voice that's like a high baritone that has a little bit of a darkness to it, that has some gravel on the up. Maybe you can put these prompts in and you can create your own artificial voice. Is that okay? If it's not copying anybody else, but I've used a computer to create a robot, essentially, Jarvis from Iron Man, from Marvel, he comes alive as Ultron, is that okay to do that? I mean, these are all questions that I think we're going to have to ask ourselves. But for as much as sort of a pushback against AI and people say, it'll never replace real music, I think to myself, I don't know, because we've been moving towards this for unreal music, copy and pasted, quantized, computerized, generized, squared off, evened off, sawed down, smoothed over, fixed, adjusted, pasted, moved, squashed, you know, all these things that we've done to it now has already made it synthetic and already made it sound very, very fake. So the leap from where we are right now to just full AI music, it's not really some, you know, leaping across the Grand, Evel Knievel going across the Grand Canyon. It's not that. 1975 to now, it was like, you know, the difference between, you know, flying to Mars and here. That's how much of a difference there is between the way they did things back then and now. But now I just don't think there is. And it's our fault. And all right, how is it our fault? Well, maybe we've let this go. We've bought this stuff. We haven't complained about it enough. We haven't. Look, I've made videos on backtracks, people using tracks live. You know, maybe we shouldn't accept these things. We should just say, you know what? The fans should get up and say for some of these bands, until you stop using backtracks and the fake background vocals and all that stuff, we're not going to your show. I'm not buying a ticket to your show anymore. I've already started to do that. There's bands that I know that are heavily backtracked bands, and I won't go see them. I'm not going to see karaoke. I'm not going to see somebody lip syncing to something, or something where 50 to 2/3 of the sound is just computer generated. And I buy very little new music anymore. And a big part of it, I made a video on that. A big part of it, as I mentioned, is I don't like the sound of it. I just don't like the overcompressed, quantized, gridded, click tracked, modern music. It just does nothing for me. I'm perfectly content hanging out and chilling with my, you know, records from the 70s and the 80s. So, all right, there you go. This turned into kind of a 11-minute and 20-some second rant. Let me know what you guys think down below. This is a two-part thing. So if you haven't watched the other one, make sure you check out the other one, because they're kind of companions to each other. Thanks to AI, I can't trust music. But let me know what you guys think about AI. I mean, do you agree with me that we're just one step away from this anyways, and that some of this is, you know, we've sort of let this happen. We've accepted this. I think it's pretty safe to say that most everybody, I don't know, this is a good question. If I can phrase it in the right way, I'll put it in the, I'll make a poll out of it. Do you prefer the more organic 70s, 80s recordings, or do you prefer the more modern, let's say 2000s on recording styles? Okay, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Till we see you again, make sure you stay metal.